Hello, it's Julie Davison from juliedavison.com. Welcome to Thursday Night Stamp Therapy and my free online class featuring the Painterly Pears Suite. I am so excited to be sharing with you, and I'm so excited that you are here with me today. It is the last Thursday of September. It is Thursday, September 25th. I'm pre-recording this, however, because I am currently on a cruise visiting New England and Canada as well. And I'm so excited to go on the trip, but I hate that I'm missing getting to craft with you live. So I hope that you are ready to stamp and ready to craft. We're going to still craft together even though I'm not live. The projects that I'm making today are from the August project kit. So I say August because everyone who placed an order with me last month in August earned this kit for free. Every month I have a new kit, and you can earn your kit free when you order $40 or more before tax and shipping, but after any Stampin' Rewards or coupons or whatever that you use. So $40 or more, you'll get the kit from me automatically. If you're a team member, you also have the opportunity to subscribe to get these kits for just $5 a month. So it's an incredible deal. And if you are neither of those things, if you did not order last month and get a free kit, and if you're not a team member, I do have a limited number of leftover kits, and you can check that out at juliedavison.com /kits, and that's where you're going to find all of my past kits that are available, including this one that was just added. And because I'm going on this trip, I unfortunately did not have an opportunity to post it and provide kits ahead of time. So if you want to get a kit, you can get the pieces just like I'm showing today, and you'll be able to watch the replay and craft along with us. So are you guys ready to dig in? Let me show you this amazing designer paper. The Painterly Pears designer paper is a 12 by 12 designer paper. It was part of the July online exclusives that Stampin' Up released, and it's got some really great colors. The Darling Duckling Yellow is definitely giving some Wild Wheat vibes, but I really love Darling Duckling. I think it is a more pleasant color than Wild Wheat was, just a little brighter, a little happier. But I'm loving all the colors in this paper. Secret Sea, Old Olive, Mossy Meadow, a little bit of Petal Pink in here, that Darling Duckling, and lots of great B-side patterns as well. Well, we are just going to really embrace the beautiful busy patterns of these pears. I love the way they're watercolored, and even though I'm not using a lot of the images, you can get a similar look here using the Perfectly Pears stamp set to create your own pears with the two-step stamps and these awesome distinctive images. This is a photopolymer stamp set, and it does have coordinating dies. The dies die cut the pear images, and there's also some detailed dies, including the little like hash marks, small little flowers, and this leaf die, which we're going to use on one of the cards. And if you got the kit, then I did die cut that ahead of time for you. But if you're following along and you're just getting the PDF, which is also an option, then you'll have to provide your own designer paper, cardstock, and die cut images. So the PDF is an option. I have the printed tutorials if you get the kit. And if you're a team member, you'll have access to all of my class tutorials, which have pictures, diagrams, measurements, all the things to make the card. So you can check that out in my Etsy shop, and it's available right now. So if you would like to follow along with all of the measurements and the cards, then you'll be able to do that. Let's move our camera up just a little bit. There we go. I feel like we were just a little too zoomed in. Now, last month I was talking about how it'd be so much fun if I could get together with some friends and like have a little dialogue with people while I was doing this, and I just ran out of time. So you just get me tonight. We're just going to be stamping, but I'll ask questions as we go along. So I hope that you'll still be active in the chat and leave lots of comments. Are you guys ready to dig in? The colors that I'm using for today's projects are Old Olive, Darling Duckling, and Secret Sea. I'll have the links to all of the supplies in the video description in case you would like to purchase them in my online store. And if you order $40 or more before tax and shipping after rewards, you'll qualify for my next kit. I was hoping to have the projects ready to show you, but it just didn't happen. My kit for September is going to feature the Gathering Togeher Suite and designer paper. This is an online exclusive for September, and it has this gorgeous paper with the gold foil. I haven't had a chance to really play with it a whole lot yet, but I am digging the Cajun Craze Early Espresso, basic beige, some crushed curry, and a little Old Olive in here as well. So if you love the look of this suite, if you love the look of this paper, then definitely make sure that you get your kit by placing your order. And I do have a sample to share with you, and I will show it to you when we're done with our first card. So let's dig in. Our first card is going to use a couple different patterns of the designer paper, and so we're going to walk through cutting those together. We also are going to utilize this piece here. So these are 4x6 samples of the designer paper, and this paper coordinates with the dies. And so all three, there's 4 images. The trio of flowers, the large pear, the stem, and the small pear are all going to work with the die cutting machine. And so I'm just going to go ahead and use the dies and die cut them all at once. And we're going to use some of them on all of the cards. Now, if you don't have the coordinating dies, that's okay. You can absolutely use scissors and fussy cut the images. And I always love designer paper like this that has images that make it really easy, where you could just cut it out and use it yourself. So if you don't have the coordinating stamps, no worries at all. You're still going to be able to have these beautiful pear images in your crafting. I love when they have dies that line up and match. It makes me so happy because if you've been watching, I don't love to color. I do it and I'm okay at it, but I don't know. I just don't find it very therapeutic. But what I love about the designer paper is that you get this expert coloring. I could never make it look that good. Mine would just be very plain, but I love the speckled. I love the different colors. I love the sort of watercolor look to it. Now, I think on the 4x6, I don't know if this is going to fit into my mini machine. I think the width on that is going to be 3 inches. Each of these individual dies would fit in the mini machine, but I'm just going to die cut this whole thing at once using the larger machine. So let's get it up on the desk. Usually I just lean over and I do this on the floor. But we'll go ahead and die cut it here. I think I need to add to my shopping list and get some new cutting plates. They still work just fine, and I try to save my top plate from I try to use the top sheet or the top plate just for the top, because then it doesn't have all the cut marks in it. And I find, especially if you have like foil cardstock, that sometimes the scratches on your cutting pads can then impress into the cardstock, especially that foil. And so I like to have a nice clean top cutting plate if I can. All right, well, we just did all of that hard work just like that with the die cutting machine. If you are fussy cutting the images, obviously it will take you a little bit longer. For the first card, you need the small pears, so you'll want to start with those if you're cutting while I'm chatting here. And then the second card is going to use, which one is second? The second one is going to use the little flowers, and the third card will use the pear and the stem. So if you are taking care of that with scissors, you can start cutting your images, and you'll be ready to go. I'm going to stick these back onto my my die cardboard so that I don't lose them. I definitely don't want to do that. All right, let's get the paper trimmer out and we're going to cut those pieces that we need here. Now on your little half sheet of paper that comes in the kit, I do have the designer paper measurements because everything else in the kit is pre-cut and ready to go. But I put the designer paper measurements on this little quick sheet just so you have that quick reference. Of course, all the measurements are included in the PDF, and so you'll see all of those, and I'll say them as we go here. So the first designer paper piece is going to be the background. That's this piece here. It's Mossy Meadow with an old olive design. And this one is going to be 3.5 inches by 5. So I'm going to do the 5 inches first, then 3.5. And I don't think that we need that for another card, but gosh, both of those are really great pieces to hang on to. So don't lose those, although I don't think you need them for today. And then our second piece is this one here with the pears and a yellow background. And this one, we are going to do 3 by 4 inches. Actually, so this is 4 inches across. And so if we just die cut this at 3 inches, we will have a piece for our card and we'll have an extra piece that we can use for something else. All right, let's go over the rest of the pieces for this card and we'll start putting it together. We have to do a little more stamping to do. And I almost forgot, this is our back pocket card layout. This is one of my favorite things about the monthly kits is every month there's a brand new back pocket card layout that you can add to your collection. And if you've been collecting for a while, you might have a whole ring like I do. At the end of the year, there will be a whole series of all 12 months. And so if you would like to get that, you can. I also do sometimes have special limited edition back pocket card layouts. Like I had a set in May for the new catalog, and I will have 3 special edition back pocket card layouts that are coming out in my newest event offering, the Traditions of Christmas Virtual Retreat. So that's going to be different from the cards that we have in the monthly kits. Now each back pocket card layout, if you're not familiar, has a black and white and gray kind of layout of a card with suggested measurements, and the back side includes 2 completed cards in full color so you can have some ideas. And I like to keep the front of it as black and white and gray so that you can substitute whatever you have at home, and kind of when you take out the colors and you take out the stamp images, it's easier to see the possibilities with the products that you have. And so my goal with the back pocket card layout is to inspire you to use the products that you have at home with versatile, easy card layouts that you can go to again and again and again. I call it the back pocket card layouts because you can just stick them in your back pocket and you can take them out when you need them. And I mean that like a metaphorical back pocket. Although I guess you could walk around with a whole bunch of card layouts in your real back pocket, but it's really meant for, just to kind of when you need it, right? When you need a little creative mojo, you can bring these out of your back pocket and be inspired and create some quick and easy cards. So this is the back pocket card layout for August. I'm starting with an old olive card base that's 5.5 by 8.5. That's just a regular half sheet of cardstock that we usually use for card making. And then we have our pieces of designer paper. I've got a piece of white for the inside. This is 4 by 5.25. We'll do a little stamping on that. And the next piece is basic beige, and this is 2 inches by 3.25. And we're going to make a little banner out of this. I just was thinking about how this card was inspired by one that Stampin' Up created. I should go grab that little handout and show you where I was inspired. I should have talked about what I was doing instead of just cutting the banner. So I'm sorry about that. Sometimes I just get to going. So to create an easy banner, I like to just cut right up the center and then cut from each corner to that top edge. And for some reason today, I just have this like little hanging Chad piece that I normally don't have. There, I think I got it off. And then I also have a 2-inch mossy meadow circle that we're going to use on the card, and some linen thread that was included in the kit. This is about 10 inches, and we're just gonna tie a bow with this. I love the linen thread, especially with these kind of like fall colors. It is just such a nice, almost like rustic element to add to your card, of like natural, very natural sort of element. So I'm gonna tie a bow, and we're gonna add that on with a mini glue dot. Now let me go grab that handout that I was thinking about and show you the layout that inspired this. The funny thing is, I almost grabbed this before I came over, and I was like, no, I don't need that. So Stampin' Up! Has new downloadable classes every month. And so this was one that they had, I think this was last month for August, and it came out at the end of the month in the Succeed Weekly email for demonstrators. And so this was a very basic layout, just some basic layering there, featuring the mini alphabet die to create these cards. But this was the layout that I was inspired by. So my layout is a little bit different, but it kind of has those same elements, a little banner, a little twine, and sort of the layering back there. So just wanted to show you where I was inspired to create this layout. And we're gonna put this card together. It's pretty straightforward. And I actually am missing a piece. It's probably, yep. Whenever I'm missing a little piece, it's usually stuck inside the envelope. So this little piece is going to be for our greeting. And so we're gonna add our elements together. I'm using, oops, I need to get it out, Mossy Meadow ink. Sorry about that. I think I forgot to add that. I better add that to the supply list. Okay, I need a little scrap paper. I'm just gonna use my sticky note here. And on the banner, I'm gonna add a little splatter from the stamp set. I just kind of wanna add a little stamping, and I'm just gonna come down the side of the banner using the Mossy Meadow ink and the splatters. And then I'm also going to use the ink to stamp the word congratulations on the basic white piece. And my ink pad, I need to do some rehab to this ink pad. It is kind of funky, and so it's not stamping even. I think I like the first one better. Okay, so I think we're ready to put it together. What am I doing on the inside? Let's take a look really quick. Let's do the stamping on the inside first. Oh, I love this. Okay, so on the inside, we are going to use the pear stamps that coordinate with the image that we used from the designer paper. So we're going to stamp this in Mossy Meadow ink down here in the corner. And then this stamp and the large pear have a two-step. And so we are going to use a little bit of Darling Duckling ink to color on there. And then I don't know that I did this on my sample, but no, we'll stick with the yellow. I was gonna say, I love the technique of using the little sponge dauber to add some like green to that and kind of add some different highlights, but we're just gonna go all yellow because I wanna show you how the stamp has built-in texture so that it's heavier with ink on one side and a little lighter on the other. And I think that's just such a smart way to build a dynamic image. But I do wanna add a little texture, so I think I'm gonna add some of the dots. I'm going to stamp off a little bit so that it's lighter, and just add some dots onto the on the pears, because I feel like pears, as they're getting a little bit older, do have kind of the little speckles and the little dots on it. I want to add some color here to the leaves, and you can use some different things to color the leaves. You can use markers, you can use Stampin' Blends. I'm going to use some blender pens to pick up the color from the ink pad. Now the blender pens are double-sided, like little glycerin pens, and you actually can use the blender pen to blend the ink from the ink pad. So because the ink pads are water-based, I can just use the blender pen and just blend that color and kind of get a really light shading. But I want to add a little bit more color, so I'm going to bring in a little bit of the ink from the ink pad. So to get this, you're going to just give it a little squeeze and you'll get that ink pooled up in the ink pad, and then you can pick it up and you can color with a water painter, you can color with the blender pen. I'll go ahead and do the stem as well. There isn't a stamp for the small leaves on the pears. There is a stamp for the larger leaf. Where did our stamp set go? Where did it go? Here it is. So the larger pear has a two-step and the leaves have a two-step, but the smaller pear doesn't have a two-step at all for the smaller leaves. So that's why we're coloring them with our blender pen to add a little color to them. Okay, let's go ahead and get our card put together. Now, I chose the sentiment, congratulations. I love a good pun. I can't even say it already without smiling. But I love a good pun, and I thought that it would be cute to write on the inside of this card, congratulations on the front, and on the inside, you're a perfect pair. Because there are two little pears. I thought this would be a cute little card for a wedding shower or even an anniversary or something like that. Now I put the first layer on, I just put it on straight. So it is a little bit longer than it is wide. So you're gonna have a little more room on the sides. But I put this on just kind of centered right there in the card front. And then the next piece, that yellow pear pattern is gonna go on at an angle. And so I'm just going to kind of angle that, again, going just right in the center of the card. Our next layered piece is going to be the banner, and this one's going to go on with some Stampin' Dimensionals over here on the side. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and layer things on top of the banner. So I'm going to start with that 2-inch circle, and I'm going to add this to the side of the banner with Stampin' Seal. And this is just flat. I always try to limit my dimensionals to just 2 layers per card so that it's not too bulky for the mail. So I'm going to have the pears with dimensionals, and then I'm going to put the banner on with dimensionals. So those are going to be my 2 layers of dimensionals on this card. Now, I am conscious that I am a bit of a faster stamper, and so if I'm going too fast, you can do 2 things. You can pause the video at any time and catch up and then replay, but you can also change the speed of the video. I do this a lot, actually. Maybe it won't surprise you. I do this a lot to speed up videos sometimes when I'm watching something, and so you can change the speed. It's under settings. There's like a little, the little icon that looks like a gear in the corner somewhere on your video. And you can do this on all videos. So it's not just my video. You're going to click on the little gear to do the settings, and then you can change the playback speed. And so you can select to speed it up and do 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, or 2, or you can slow it down and select 0.75, 0.5, or even 0.25 to slow down the sound in the whole video so that you can keep up. So whatever speed works for you, I don't want you to stress. I want you to be able to follow along and create cards with me today without stressing out. So if it helps you to be able to slow down the video or just to pause and come back to it, then I hope that you will do those things to have a fun experience stamping along with me. I'm going to add some more dimensionals to the back of the banner. And I'm going to line up the banner so that it's parallel and straight. It's parallel with the dark green designer paper. So that's going to kind of be about, I don't know, an inch or so from the right side of the card, and a little bit more towards the top, like top center there. Next up, we're going to add that twine bow that I did ahead of time. And we're going to stick this on with a glue dot. So I just kind of put it right on there and then push down and peel off the glue dot. I'm going to add this right next to the pears, and then our sentiment is going to go over it, just like that. So we'll add that on next with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And actually, I think I want to take one off. It's going to overlap the pears a little bit. And so I'm going to use some regular adhesive there and one dimensional on the side where it will kind of be parallel with the pears. So like I said, I always try to keep to that 2 layers of Stampin' Dimensionals. So this is all the same layer with pears, and then the banner on there as well. I'm going to add the inside, which I've kept to just the pears. But if you wanted to, you could add an inside sentiment. The front says congratulations. None of the other stamps really read good for an inside. We've got a good friend is a great gift. Hello, thank you, and friend. So if you're handwriting one, my suggestion is you're a perfect pair. And then, of course, we want to add some embellishments. Now, I used to include the embellishments in the kits because I was using the host code that we had in previous years. And then with the host code, I was purchasing the materials to make the kits that I was giving away to everybody, including the embellishments. But now we don't have host codes. In fact, you want to make sure that you opt in for Stampin' Rewards so that you can earn rewards on your purchases that you can use for whatever you want. So you can use the Stampin' Rewards that you earn when you order from me, and you can get embellishments if you'd like, or you can get a stamp set or save it up for something big. Now, I know you guys have a lot of bling, and so maybe you don't have exactly the same bling as this one, but you can embellish your cards however you want. Originally, I used these low profile sparkle dots, which are part of the the Painterly Pears Suite, but I actually was just thinking I would really love something a little more like rustic on this card. So you know what, I'm gonna take them off. Let's explore another option really quick. I should have pulled this out ahead of time. Let me see here. The one I'm thinking of is this one here, adhesive back texture dots. And I think these are actually on the last chance list, and so it's very possible that they have sold out already. But if not, you should definitely check them out because I think they're so great for masculine cards and for cards like this that just have some natural coloring and elements to them. So here's my original with the yellow sparkle dots. I actually put them down here, and I know some of you are very big on doing 3 instead of 2, so you can have as many embellishments on your card as you'd like. But I would love a quick this or that. Do you prefer the textured dots that are a little darker, or do you like the brighter yellow dots from the low profile sparkle dots? So this or that, let me know which of those that you prefer. And no matter what your card looks like, I'm sure you've got embellishments at home that you can use to dress up your card and add a little bit of sparkle. Now, I'm going to try to remember this time. I think last time I forgot until the very end, but I do have some extra samples to share with you using the Painterly Pears Suite. And so I'm going to share a couple samples in between each card as we go. But before I do that, I almost forgot. I have the bonus sample here. Let me take it out of the plastic. So this is the other card I created for the back pocket card layout. And this one features that Gathering Together Suite that I'll be featuring in the next project kit. So if you love this suite, make sure to get the stamp set if you love it, or whatever accessories that you want, the copper glitter dots, so that you'll be ready for our next class next month. But you can see I did the same layout here with the banner and the circle and the elements, and just switched up the colors. This card uses basic beige and Cajun craze for the banner, a little early espresso for the circle. Do you love it? I think this layout is going to be so good with so many different things. So I hope that you feel inspired beyond the pears and beyond the leaves and the the fall things that we're doing tonight. I hope that you feel like you can create these cards using anything, recreate these layouts. Now our next card is another really amazing card layout card, and so I think we will get started on that one next. This one uses Secret C, and I kind of love that Secret C is included in this designer paper, because I think it just is such a pretty offset color to go with all the greens. Now I didn't do it on the last time, but you could, if you wanted to, stamp your envelopes to match your cards. So on this one, we could do a little of the yellow flower. Let's go ahead and stamp our inside too, because it's also going to have a trio of yellow flowers. This coordinates with the same die that we used to die cut this element, which we're going to use on the card. And there's also a stamp to do the inside of the flowers, and all three of the flower centers are on the same stamp, so you can do them all in one go of it. And I'm going to leave my flowers white, but if you wanted to, you could color those in. You could stamp the outline in blue and color them. You could make them pink. You could do whatever you'd like. So our card base is Secret C, and then the inside piece is 4 by 5 1/4 basic white. Kind of boring, I'm sorry, on the inside. You could also add some extra. Oh no, do you see what happened? Where did that even come from? I didn't even use that color on this card. Is it on me? Oh my goodness. Well, one of the things that I have in my little toolbox is the sand eraser. Now, if you don't have one of these, you can get them on Amazon, or I think you've even seen them in the Dollar Tree before. It is just a essentially an eraser with sand in it that just grinds down the paper fibers to try to get rid of the ink. So we're just grinding down the top of the paper where the ink is, and sometimes it works better than other times. But if you have just a tiny little stray mark, sometimes that will help you to be able to get it off. I think I'm good. I don't see any big ink. I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was on the desk. I should get out grid paper. I know, don't yell at me. All right, the next piece on the card are 3 pieces of old olive cardstock. And I used the Forever Plaid embossing folder to add some texture. I really wanted something that was going to be nice and neutral to this, not compete too much with the busy designer paper. And so you've got 3 pieces of old olive. 2 of them are 1 1/4 by 5 inches, and the other one's a little skinnier. It's 1 inch by 5 inches. And so we're going to layer these on the middle of the card base. And again, this is another really versatile layout. If you, it's not a back pocket card layout, but it could be. It is such a easy layout. So I'm just going to kind of evenly space our pieces here. Sometimes I should do the top and the bottom, evenly space those between the sides, and then add the center one right in the middle, and then you can evenly space it between the 2 pieces. Okay, so we've got our 3 embossed panels. And then the card kit includes a piece of white cardstock that is, I think 3 by 4 inches. And so we actually need to cut the cardstock to layer on this card. And for this card, we're going to use the gorgeous blue pattern. This one is my favorite of all the designer paper. I think because it just has so many of the colors in it. We see that secret sea background. We've got some old olive, the beautiful petal pink flowers, the darling duckling flowers, a little bit of like misty moonlight in the leaves back there, and then even some white flowers. So this one's going to be 3 by 4. Nope, it's actually going to be 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So it's almost 3 by 4. So I'm going to cut first at 2 3/4. So you have a bigger chunk that you'll be able to save for another project. And actually, we do need the other side of it for our next project, so don't lose that. And then I'm going to cut it down to 3 3/4. So this is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And it is going to layer onto the white cardstock, just like that. I like white sometimes when you have a very dark designer paper because it just makes the paper pop. And then I like to put this at an angle, but if you want to, you could do it straight on your card. Sometimes I like doing an angle because I feel like if it's not perfectly straight, then it's noticeable. And so when you make it crooked, then you don't have to worry about it being like totally perfect. So I'm going to do an angle on my card. If you don't care for the angle, then you can put yours on however you'd like. But I'm just going to kind of do a little slight angle right in the center there. And I mean, gosh, you don't need a whole lot more on this card. I feel like this designer paper kind of does all the heavy lifting with the beautiful imagery. But we have a 2-inch circle, so we're going to add our sentiment on the circle, and then we'll add the flowers here on the side. And I did include a little darling duckling ribbon to go behind the circle, just to kind of, pun intended, tie in that yellow color. So here's kind of how our card is going to look finished. Let's use the Secret Sea ink to stamp the sentiment. And I'm using one from the Perfectly Pears stamp set, which says, "A good friend is a gift." This is going to go towards the top of the circle. And so I've got room for my flower to come down here. Oh, I didn't show you the card samples. I even said I was going to, and then I got distracted by the Gathering Together one. Okay, so let's finish this card, and then I will show you like 2/3 of the samples for the Perfectly Pears, and then we're gonna come back around and we'll finish the last card and do the last few samples. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive to the back of the circle, and this ribbon is very thin and kind of easy, so I find that a little bit of that adhesive just sort of holds the ribbon in place while I'm positioning it, and then I can turn around and I can add that tear and tape to sort of lock it down. So I'm gonna use that as a temporary, and then use the tear and tape. And that was a little bit long, but the thing I love about this tear and tape is that you can just tear it right off. I like to kind of bring it up against my thumbnail and then tear it against my thumbnail. So if you have trouble with the tear and tape, there's a little trick. Now this is going to go on with Stampin' Dimensionals. I do find that this faux linen ribbon does tend to fray a little bit, so I'm just going to be really careful and kind of keep it long so that if I need to trim it again later, it's not going to be too short. Okay, so we got our Stampin' Dimensionals, and this circle is going to go on the right side of the designer paper. And then we're going to bring in some liquid glue to add our leaf. And I'm just going to do little dots here on the leaves. Some of them are going to be on the circle. Some of them are going to go off of the circle. And this big opening here is where the flowers are going to be, kind of right in there. And so this is really not on the circle a lot at all, but we're just going to go ahead and kind of layer it like that. I didn't want to die cut all of the leaves, and I designed this card and it just needed something. It needed something to go with the flowers, and so I just really feel like the die cut kind of finishes it out. Now if you don't have the Painterly or the Perfect Pears bundle at home, you could substitute other leaves. Like I think the Bow Punch, which is retired in the last chance list, is another kind of good option. That one is so versatile and I use it all the time. I'm adding the flowers now with some Stampin' Dimensionals right in that kind of empty spot on the branch. And so the last thing for us to do is going to be to add some bling, and I want to shorten my ribbon here a little bit. It's just too long. And I think for this card, you could go with the textured dots, but I kind of want to bring in more of that yellow, I think. In my original sample, I had more flowers showing in the background, and so I actually took the yellow dots and I put them like in the center of some of the flowers. But I don't really see that as an option in like, whoa. Never mind. I think I'm going to put them right there in the center of those flowers. I kind of love that. Here's my other sample, and I did them in the background in the center of the flowers. I did 5 of them. So they're really kind of subtle, the bling in the background. But I think I really love them in the center of the pink flowers. What do you think? When you put your bling on, are you going to bling up the center of the flowers, or do you prefer to have them in the background? Isn't this layout super versatile? Like you could substitute other embossing folders and designer paper and create your own cards with whatever you have at home. This layout was one of my favorite. I had a hard time kind of deciding with the back pocket card layout between the first card or the second card. And I just love them both so much. I'm so happy with the way these cards turned out. You're really going to love the last one too. But before we get to that one, I did promise to show you some more samples. So I've got some other card samples. I'll just do, like I said, I'll just do a handful, and then we'll save the other ones for after the last card. So this one comes from Cheryl Workman. It was a card that she sent in for the Great Big Card Swap. I love the sort of corner squash designer paper feature that she used. This is so much fun. Cheryl, thank you again so much for sending an extra card for me for the Great Big Card Swap. It was such a treat to get to keep that and to be reminded of that fun technique with the designer paper. Here's a swap card I got from Natalie Travis, and she used that flower stamp, and I love how she used like the early espresso for the outline and then the little yellow center. It really mimics the flowers in the designer paper so nicely. And this one also has that amazing die cut with the green leaves. I don't know, I just love everything about that little cluster. I just think it's such a pretty card. This is crushed curry for the card base with an old olive layer and some of the Mossy Meadow Gold ribbon that's part of the suite. Here is a card. This actually was the alternative back pocket card layout sample that I made for the July kit, I think featuring celebratory sips. I used some of the garden and glass embossing folder down here at the bottom and the stylish shapes to do the stitch circle with Darling Duckling. Another swap card, this one came from Sandy Carlson, and she incorporated some of that gorgeous ribbon in there too. I ended up not using any of the green ribbon on my cards, but it is such a beautiful ribbon that goes so nicely with this designer paper and also is so perfect for Christmas and other occasions. I think I was just pulling out some samples where I used it on some cards with the floral charm. designer paper. Yeah, love that. So pretty. And then lastly, this one from Betsy Kreider highlights the designer paper both as the background and as the focal image here too. Betsy used some petal pink for her sentiment. A good friend is a gift. And there we see that beautiful ribbon again, the mossy meadow and gold ribbon. Don't you love Secret Sea? It is so rich with these greens. I love it so much. All right, let's move on to our last card. This one is a fun fold. Now, whenever I do the card kits, I always try to include a fun fold in the mix for you guys. And so this is the fun fold for our card kit this month. And this is a twist top card. Maybe it has a different name. I like the twist top. So it's kind of a fun fold. I have pre-scored for you. So if you are getting the kit, you'll have your cardstock scored already. This is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. And I scored at 5 1/2 and then also at 6 3/4 inches. Then in that 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch section, I scored diagonally from the bottom corner on the inside to the top outside corner. And this is going to be what we use to, let's see, fold. I think it's going to fold this way. So it's going to kind of fold up like that. And this square that's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 is going to fit on it. So from the front of the card, it will look flush and complete. And then it twists and opens like this so that you can also see that front panel on the top of the inside of the card. This is kind of like a card that has a metamorphosis because it starts as a portrait or a landscape card, and then it folds into a longer or portrait vertical layout. We're going to use a lot of designer paper to dress up this card, including that yellow grid, which was the back of the blue paper we used on the last card. We're also going to use this designer paper with the pink background. And so we are going to use almost this whole thing actually for our next card. And that leaves a few pieces of designer paper for you. We didn't use this one at all, but gosh, isn't it pretty? You could use this. Oh my gosh, I sort of love this. You know what? I'm gonna like change my mind here. Now, you might have a slightly different designer paper piece, because this piece in the designer paper is one of those that has, it's 12 by 12 and it has the flowers all the way around the edges. And so when you cut it into 4 by 6 pieces, if you're getting an outer edge, you might have the pears and the flowers like all the way on the edge, or you might have a corner that's going to have like all, you know, it might almost be totally filled with the pattern. But if you have one of the middle, one of the middle ones on the top and the bottom, like you could put this on the inside of your card here. Instead of what we're going to do, which is the designer paper. So this would be so pretty. Gosh, even just to add to any of the other cards, like you could just put that on the inside of your card here. Isn't that so pretty? Or you can make another card front with it. So your piece, like I said, might look different, but we'll save it. You have that to use later on. Some other pieces that you can use later on. So I'm going to save all of those. And we did use quite a bit though. Okay, so let's cut our cardstock, or our designer paper rather. The big pink piece, we are going to use a 4 by 4 inch piece. So I'm going to put it in, and I'm cutting it to 4 inches. So it's already 4 inches here. And so I'm just going to cut 4 inches here. Now I did choose specifically to use the bottom, but if you like the top better, you can use the top 4 inches. I just thought that this had some nice arrangement with the pears there. So you cut however you want, but you're going to cut it at 4 inches. So you got 4 by 4. And then this piece, we're going to cut for the inside of the card, and we're going to cut that at 1 inch. Okay, so we're gonna save that, and then we're gonna use that piece with the yellow. Now this is already 4 inches across. We're gonna cut 2 pieces that are 1 inch. So, sorry if I'm out of camera range here. We're gonna go 1 and 2. And then we have a piece left over for another project. So I'm gonna put those 2 pieces in the bag and save them for another time. Okay, I think that's all the cutting that we need to do. Oh, you know what? I just realized that we were actually supposed to cut another bit of flowers from this sheet. So at the beginning we cut the 1 flowers, the big pear, the stem, and the little ones. We also need to cut out another set of flowers for this card. So I'm gonna get my dies and we'll die cut that. If you are fussy cutting, then you're gonna fussy cut 1 more set of flowers. I guess you could leave them off if you like, but I really like having this extra set of flowers here because it ties the pink back into the background. And so I'm going to line that up. I'm using my Post-it sticky tape. I love this. If you don't use it, you could also use like washi tape or something like this, but this is the Post-it labeling and cover up tape. And I love it because it's a really good like temporary adhesive. Like it'll hold down the die without tearing the paper underneath. I'm just gonna do this on the floor instead of bringing the machine back up. So let me just die cut that really quick. And I'm gonna put that back so I don't lose it. Not much left on here, but I am gonna save it because maybe I'll decide to use, like, I don't know, you could still use that pear or this one there. There's a little life left in it. Okay, now our card is kind of simple when it comes to the layering, although there are lots of pieces. So in that way, it's not totally simple. But let's start with gluing some of our designer paper down. So the large piece here is going to go on the large square. So 4x4 designer paper, it's going to layer onto the 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch Mossy Meadow cardstock. Okay, and then this is actually going to go on the card in this bottom rectangle. I guess we could go ahead and do that right now. Gotta find my tear and tape. Now, when you add this on, you want to make sure you're only sticking it onto the bottom corner. And that's why I decided to use the tear and tape because it's heavy duty and I'll make sure to only stay where I want it to be. So I'm only putting that in the bottom corner. And then this cardstock piece actually is going to line up and cover that almost the whole card front. So I'm going to line it up straight on the desk so they're nice and flush, and then line them up. Oh! It was flush on the bottom, but not on the sides. Okay. With my hand, I'm going to kind of hold those together. And there we go. Give that a little back massage. It's had a hard day. And so now it has this twist opening. It folds on that score line. And since there's no adhesive here, it can kind of twist and you can see it in the front or the inside. While we're inside, we've got these 2 yellow pieces of designer paper, that yellow grid. One of them is going to go on the inside in that spot right by the fold. So there's sort of this like scored area, this little section, and we have the same little scored area on the front. And so the designer paper is going to go on either side of the center score line in that section. I forgot to tell you, when you're putting your designer paper on, to make sure that you're putting it on the card so that when the card is closed, you have your verticalness of the pears, right? So we got up and down, and then when it opens, it folds and rotates. But you want to make sure that you're putting the designer paper on this way. It's a square, so you could put it on sideways by accident. So just make sure you're putting it on so that when the card is closed, it is a landscape horizontal layout. Okay, we're going to do some layering more with the designer paper for our white card for the inside. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and I have that 1 by 4 inch piece of designer paper from the pink pattern. This is going to go across the bottom, and we're going to add this to the inside here and stamp some words on it. So the words we're going to put on the front say, a good friend is a gift, or not the front, this is the inside. A good friend is a gift, and I'm using the Secret C ink. And so that's going to go right here. While I have the Secret C ink open, I'm also going to do our little strip. This is 1/2 inch wide by 2.5 inches. And the front is going to say thank you. Now, I always kind of do my little strips bigger than I need to so that I can see where I'm stamping. And then I will take my scissors and trim it down a little bit. So it is longer than you need it to be, and you just trim it down however you want. So I've got my little thank you there. So that was Secret C ink for all of those. Okay. See, this layering is simple. There are just lots of pieces to layer. Okay. Closing the card back up. For the front, we have a 2 3/8 inch circle in Darling Duckling, and also the Old Olive piece, which is 1 1/4 by 3.5 inches. And so let's start with this. We're going to add this down across the bottom of the card. I hate to cover up this gorgeous pear paper. I'm going to go like about 1 1/4 inches or so from the bottom. Maybe closer to 1 inch. Okay. And then we have our die cut pear. Now you absolutely could stamp this and, you know, color it and do the 2-step and all that. But I really love the image from the designer paper because it is so perfectly colored already. I'll use a glue dot, but you could also use some liquid glue to attach the stem to the top of the pear. And then you probably guessed the pear is going to go onto the circle with Stampin' Dimensionals. So kind of over here on the right side, I did kind of angle it a little bit as well. Our flowers are just going to go on with some regular adhesive. You could use liquid adhesive here if you want. I'm just going to kind of add them to the bottom of the pear. And then our sentiment and our bow are going to go here on the side. So let's go ahead and tie another bow with the linen thread. And we'll stick it on with a glue dot so that it's right underneath the sentiment again, like we did on the first card. Trimming those up to be even. I'll use a glue dot to add this to the card, just kind of in that little nook right there next to the flowers. And then the, let's see. I'm just trying to figure out if I put dimensionals. I think I just put regular adhesive on the back here. So I just have dimensionals under the pear. And so the circle's going to go on the right side of that green strip. And then our Stampin' Dimensionals, I'll put 2 of them here, leaving the end open to overlap. you. A good friend is a gift. Indeed. On this card, you can embellish with your choice of embellishments. You can use the low profile sparkle dots. For this one, I think the dark green would look really lovely. But it's almost, I don't know, like almost a weird green. I think I'm going to go back to the rustic dots again. I just really love the way that these look with the pears, but you can use whatever you have at home, whether it's the rustic dots or the sparkle dots or something else that's green. I'm sure you guys have a large collection of your favorite your favorite embellishments and bling. And if you don't, you can check them out in my online store. I always love to shop in the last chance list for all the extra deals on especially the embellishments that are being discontinued, because they're kind of timeless and they go with so many things. So check out the last chance list for embellishments like these. The adhesive back texture dots are on that list if they've not sold out already. Okay, I want to show you some more samples, and then I want to talk to you about some things that are available right now that are really kind of exciting and fun. Here are all three of our cards one last time that we made tonight. If you enjoyed these Painterly Pear cards, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Tell me which one of these is your favorite, 1, 2, or 3. I love the set of them. I just think they're so gorgeous. I hope that you do too, and that you enjoyed crafting along with me with the August kit. If you didn't get a chance to get a kit, I have a few left over, and so you can check those out at juliedavison.com/kits and grab yourself a kit and watch the replay and create along with me. The Painterly Pears Suite, including the Perfectly Pear stamp set, is available in my online store at juliedavison.com/shop. Here are a few more card samples. I think the last ones are all ones that I've made featuring the Painterly Pears Suite. This little, what did I call this? A top flap double gatefold. There's a mouthful. Top flap double gatefold card I featured during a Sunday stamping video. So I'll add the link to the video description if you want to check that out. And then this was one I did with my team for mystery stamping. I utilized the little flower die that is part of the dies, and this label die is part of the Perfectly Pears bundle as well. And then lastly, this card here, where I did use some of the sponge daubers to add some color to that two-step stamp before I created it. I used this one with the nested essential dies for that rectangle as a swap card that I made over the summer. I made a whole bunch of those cards to share with my friends. So tell me what you think about the pears. Yay or nay? Are you a fan of them? Next month, we are going to feature that Gathering Togeher Suite and designer paper. I think the other pieces just fell. So if you're a fan of this suite, if you love the way that looks, this is what we're going to be crafting with next time. The free online classes with the kit craft alongs are always on the last Thursday of the month. So in October, the Gathering Together class is going to take place on Thursday, October 30th. So you got lots of time to join me. If you would like to get my kit for free, then make sure you order $40 or more by Tuesday, September 30th. That's just coming up next week. So you've got your last chance to earn that, and you might check out some of these amazing new things that are available right now. I am really excited about this. The 12 Days of Crafting Advent Calendar. I feel like Stampin' Up's been spying on me. I'm just kidding. I have been creating a 12 Days of Christmas Countdown gift box for the last several years. And so this is along those lines. It is a box that includes little windows that you can open up every day for 12 days. But the thing about this is it's got exclusive product in it that you won't be able to get anywhere else. This is available right now, unless in the last few days it has already sold out, which I suppose is possible. But since I'm filming this in the past, I don't know in the future what's going to happen. I think that it will sell out, and it's only available while supplies last. So make sure that you check it out. I'm getting one for myself. I can't wait to see what's inside all of these boxes. In addition to the 12 boxes with windows and different items, there is also an exclusive stamp set with 2 different sheets. This exclusive stamp set is an additional gift. So it's really like 13 gifts in one. Altogether, I think they said it includes $120 in product, and the advent calendar is $99 here in the US. You can look for it in my online store at juliedavison.com/shop. It is item number 167335. So check that out. The 12 Days of Crafty Advent Calendar from Stampin' Up. And if you purchase this, you'll qualify to get my September bonus project kit featuring the Gathering Together. So you'll be all set to craft with us next month. Another option that I would encourage you to look at is the Handmade and Heartfelt Kit. If you've not already purchased this, it's not too late. World Card Making Day is Saturday, October 4th, which is coming up in just 1 week. Stampin' Up is doing a free virtual event for you featuring the Handmade and Heartfelt Kit. So if you'd like to craft along with them, then you want to make sure to get the kit. It's $32, so you'll need to add a little bit more if you want to qualify for my kit, the freebie. The Handmade and Heartfelt Kit is item number 166213, and if you haven't already, make sure that you register for a World Card Making Day event that Stampin' Up is having, because they are going to be sending a free gift to all registered attendees. They'll also send you the link to watch the event for free, and so you don't have to get the kit if you want to. You can just tune in and watch, and then there's that little freebie that they're going to send afterwards. So make sure that you register so that you can get that freebie. One last reminder too, I want to let you know about my Traditions of Christmas Sweet Escape virtual retreat. I am so excited about this. I mentioned it earlier. There's going to be 3 exclusive back pocket card layouts that are part of the Make and Take kit for this virtual retreat. And Stampin' Up just announced to the day that I'm filming it that they are also offering a virtual class featuring the same suite. That virtual class is going to be available starting October 1st with a live class happening on October 23rd. And so if you love this Traditions of Christmas suite, you just like get the whole caboodle, and then you can participate in both virtual events, Stampin' Up's class and my retreat, and you will just be so filled with Traditions of Christmas inspiration. You will be ready to just be making all of the cards, all the things. You're going to love it. If you're interested in learning more about my event and registering for your spot, you can go to tinyurl.com/Traditions of Christmas retreat. If you've signed up already, invoices will be sent on October 1st. So you're on the list. No worries. Watch for that invoice coming October 1st once I'm back from the cruise and getting all settled back at home. Oh my gosh, I think that's it for me now. I'm so glad that you guys were here with me tonight. Thank you for spending some time with me, and thank you for watching the replay. If it's not tonight and it's tomorrow morning or whenever you're watching, thank you. It means so much that you took the time to spend a little time with me and stamp along with me. So again, I hope that you enjoyed these projects. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on all the amazing things that are coming. Until then, have a great week, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye, everybody.